maybe I straddle both ends with imposter syndrome, because I think it's real. It's real for you. Your feelings are...
When you were learning as a child, what was expected of you? Were you allowed to build your skill set to learn, or were you wondering if you could either come up with a mantra to say to yourself, which might be something that you might say to an 8-year-old?
Hey, and welcome back to the therapy floor. I'm Dr. Vicky.
And I'm Dr. Reds.
And we're going to get straight into today's dilemma.
Let's go. So this one comes in from a 34-year-old woman who says, I recently got promoted to a senior registrar position in my NHS trust. So I guess for anybody that doesn't live in the UK, we would describe that as maybe a senior physician. So a senior medical doctor.
Yeah.
In the
NHS.
Which would be described as
like our healthcare
healthcare system. That's it. Yeah. And it's something I've been working towards for years, but instead of feeling accomplished, I'm gripped by imposter syndrome. I constantly worry that my colleagues or patients will see through me, realizing I'm not as capable as they believe. I watch the other doctors who seem so sure of themselves, while I find myself second-guessing my own decisions. The stress and self-doubt are getting overwhelming, to the point where I'm considering stepping back from the role, even though I know I've worked so hard to get here. Please help me, because I don't know how I can overcome this imposter syndrome, to start trusting my own abilities and really fully embrace this opportunity that I've earned within my organisation.
Oh, okay. When did they qualify? When did they get the promotion?
Recently.
Okay. Yeah.
They're 34. Obviously, we don't know when they graduated or qualified. We don't have that info, but...
Yeah, it's so... I think we talk about imposter syndrome a lot these days, don't we? It's kind of all over social media, and we talk about how it affects women more, or maybe some people imply that it affects women more, and maybe certain demographics more. Some people like to downplay it and say, well, it's just about being new at something. You just kind of gotta sink your teeth into it and get used to it. Used to the role. And then some people treat it a bit more seriously, I would say, and say, okay, this is a real anxiety that you're grappling with. And I think I straddle both ends with imposter syndrome, because I think it's real for you. Your feelings are valid. The feelings of anxiety, the feeling of low self-confidence, and the worry that you will let yourself down and let other people down, particularly when you're in a role such as this, where other people's lives and health is in your hands. I get it, I understand it. Your feelings are so valid. And at the same time, there is an element of having to give yourself some grace and to kind of sit with it and grit your teeth through the discomfort of this period. I think that's also equally valid. What are your thoughts, Fritz?
I think, what you're saying there is so fair about you straddle both sides of it. Of a lot of people go through this. It's quite a normal thing to also, it's quite an overwhelming thing. So even though it's maybe normal and it's a transitioning period, I think there's different levels of, I guess, the word normal and how it inhibits you from performing. Because I think imposter syndrome is about performing. I don't feel that I'm able to perform at the job that other people have the belief that I'm able to do. I don't think I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's also something around the story that you've created for yourself, the narrative that you're feeding yourself here, that's inhibiting you, that is likely to come from a core belief. And my question here would be, so if you get found out, what happens? Fill in that last bit of that sentence for me. What are you worried that people are going to uncover about you?
Yeah.
What's the fear that's driving this imposter syndrome? Because I think it is fear that drives it.
Yeah.
It forms part of the anxiety.
I think fear of not being good enough.
That's the core belief I was getting at.
Yeah. I'm not good enough, and other people can see it as well. And maybe other people will confirm it to me as well. But what if we extend that core belief, and rather than making it about you as an individual and your whole identity, why not use some radical acceptance, which is, I may not be good enough at this role right now, and I'm striving to get better day by day by day. Because the reality is, if you are so right for this role, like, would there have been a need for a promotion? A promotion is supposed to feel like, oh my gosh, a new challenge, isn't it?
I don't know whether people see it like that.
Do they not?
I don't know. I feel that the people that I might have worked with that have stepped into new roles, their belief system is sometimes construed that I've been given this role because I'm all knowledgeable and all powerful.
Yeah.
So I can't mess it up.
So you qualify before you get the role.
Yeah, there's no growth mindset to it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm already there.
Yes.
I think these people have given me this position because I'm already there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm already there. I don't think anyone's already there.
No, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, if you enter it into this position and you've already hit the glass ceiling, then where do you go from there? And also, are you going to have much job satisfaction if you feel like you can do the job already with your eyes shut? I think there is supposed to be some level of trepidation and some level of discomfort and maybe even proving yourself, although I don't really like to use that term. But yes, it was an achievement to get into the next role and to step up, and you'll have multiple achievements throughout this role as you become more proficient and more skilled and you fine-tune your skills. So I think there is an element of anxiety that is to be expected, particularly because this matters to you. If you didn't care about it, you wouldn't feel a level of threat about it being taken away from you.
I'd be curious to know, did you feel this in your previous role? Or has it just come up since getting the promotion?
Yeah.
And it's touching on the points that you raised, which was, did you feel comfortable with your knowledge set and your position that you were in? And now that that's changed, it feels challenging. But you're almost not seeing that struggle as a strength.
Yeah.
You're seeing that, well, if I'm
Struggle is-
struggling, does that mean there's something wrong with me, that I'm weak, that I'm not doing this correctly?
Like it's a flaw.
Yeah. But actually, obstacles are powerful techniques for growing, for learning, for overcoming challenges,
Definitely.
for seeing setbacks as a way to use your mind in a way that you haven't used it before.
100%.
Which is, I wonder what the job is requiring of you.
Yeah.
A new skill set.
Definitely. There's like a stepping into a new pair of shoes, isn't there? That comes with a new job, a new promotion, a new level. But then there's also walking in those shoes. So you've stepped into the shoes, but now you have to walk in the shoes and you have to really embody it, and that will take time, you know?
It's reminding me of, I read that there was once a job application in Windsor Castle for somebody to wear the Queen's new shoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that she never experienced discomfort.
Really?
Yeah, so they would wear in her shoes,
Oh, wow.
and then once they were worn in, she would
Yeah.
wear them.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Is that real?
It was there was a job
Oh
like a
my
job
days.
for this.
Wow, okay. That's interesting.
Doesn't that say a lot?
It does. It does. You have to get comfortable.
But then maybe when you're the queen, like, you have hit the glass ceiling, like, what's next?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it also makes me think of me when I qualified as a psychologist. And I don't mind sharing this because it has been a long time now since I've been qualified. What are we coming up to? 9 years? 10 years? Oh my gosh. Is it 10 years?
It'll be 10 years. It's going to be 10 years? It is 10 years.
No, it's 9 years.
No.
We graduated in 2015, didn't we? We passed our Vivas in 2015.
Was it 2015? Yes. Okay,
so
fine.
it's 9 years.
9 years.
9 years this month, I think.
Yeah.
Or last month.
Yeah, last month, yeah.
But I honestly mean this when I say that I feel so apologetic for the clients that I saw in my first year once I qualified, okay? Because, yes, I had the necessary skills to call myself a psychologist. I'd passed, I'd had, how many hours we needed to have. Was it 450 hours of client work? I'd had 450 hours and even plus. I was in surplus of that. I'd banked my hours. I'd seen that many clients. But in my first year, when I look back on it now, I wasn't at the level that I am right now. But I was qualified. And I really had to grow into becoming a more skilled practitioner and clinician. And I think the same will be true for you. As long as you're not doing any harm to your clients, obviously. But there is an element of having to kind of give yourself some grace. And what a shame it would be to stop now and to not believe basically what other people see in you. Essentially, by quitting and saying, right, I'm going to step down now, you're kind of saying to everyone else who thinks that you are capable, I don't really believe you. I don't believe you. I don't trust your judgment. And that would be a shame.
I want to know how learning was modelled to you.
Good question. Yeah.
When you were learning as a child, what was expected of you? Were you allowed to build your skill set to learn, or were you meant to just have the knowledge? Be this perfect student who was just naturally gifted and able to do things? Because I feel that the messages that anybody is given in their childhood can also set somebody up for whether they're likely to experience and then suffer from imposter syndrome.
Say more.
Well, I'm just wondering if the message that you got was, there's no way you will know everything straight away. I'm just thinking of a child who's maybe learning maths and they're getting frustrated at themselves for not getting the answer, or they can't figure it out. And if the message is, it's okay, take your time, we can figure this out together, and yes, it is really hard, but I can see that you're trying, and that's encouraging. I can see you don't believe in you, but I believe in you, and we're not going to make it even more difficult and add more pressure on whilst we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
But if you had the experience of, we did this yesterday, how have you not got it? You should be there by now.
Yeah, you should.
You should, you have to, you must. Look at everyone else.
Yeah.
Look at your brother, your sister.
Look at your age mates. Do they have two heads?
Like that. And even though we can laugh about that, that's going to go in. It's going to go deep. That's literally going to go into your cells and then come out in your adulthood when it's tough, when you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah. And I'm really mindful of, when I have friends and I see them with their kids and how they are encouraging them or praising them, and being really mindful of praising their effort and not necessarily just the outcome.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you passed? Or you got not an A, it's not A's anymore. What is it, like a 9? I don't know. You got this, that was so good. You did such a good job. Versus, the friends that parent and they say, you really put so much effort into that. Well done. Like, regardless of the outcome. And I think that is so healthy, isn't it? It's so helpful to really inspire and cultivate that growth mindset.
Well, you see the person rather than the product.
Yeah.
The product is the qualification or the results, whereas there's a person behind that. There's a human behind that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd all just be robots.
Yeah. So what I want to pose to you is, if you were maybe looking at, I was going to say your younger self, but I think sometimes that can be hard and quite abstract for people to do. But if you were looking at a 8-year-old child.
Yeah, maybe you have a niece or a nephew or a friend that has a young child.
Yeah. And you saw them grappling with fears and anxieties about performance and not being good enough. What would you say to them to encourage them? And if you can imagine saying it to them, then say it to yourself, because we all need that. We all need that, inner coach, cheerleader, someone to let us know that you're doing a good job, carry on. I mean, there's a reason why people need coach, like athletes. If we talk about creme de la creme of performance, let's talk about athletes. They need coaches. Why are you any different? Why are we any different? We all need coaches. We all need people or ourselves to really advocate for us and cheerlead us on.
And that makes me think of Nadal. And I'll come on to why I'm saying that. But I wonder if maybe when you're feeling this imposter syndrome coming up in your work, just thinking of some tactics now or some skills that you could use, I'm wondering if you could either come up with a mantra to say to yourself, which might be something that you might say to an 8-year-old. Or even if you were to maybe come up with some sort of, I don't know, technique, like maybe just stroking your own hand, or like putting your hand on your heart, or like squeezing your thumb, just something that says to you, I hear you, I see you, you've got this. Now the reason I'm saying that is Nadal does something similar where I can't remember who he learnt it from, but I think it was like a performance coach or something, but don't quote me on it. But what I took away from when I read or watched this thing was, when the crowd is like going wild and, just before you're about to take your serve or be served to, there's that intense atmosphere at a tennis match. And his way of grounding himself, because it's grounding we're really talking about here, and showing himself his self-belief is to, I think he like pulls his shorts out of his bottom.
Right.
And then will put his hair behind one ear, behind the other ear, and then do this, rub his nose.
Oh, wow.
And that is actually a technique he uses.
Love that.
To ground himself. So I'm just wondering if there's some sort of technique you can do for yourself when you're on the wards, when you're in the hospital, when you're working, that says, yeah, I can hear you that this is a bit uneasy. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. And this is what we do to get through or to embark on this challenge today. I like that. Come up with your own ritual.
The other thing that I was kind of thinking was just going into the profession a bit more. I think sometimes people can view doctors as these god-like products that are not human, do not have human error, and have no fallibility. Whereas that's not true.
Yeah.
That. So if you've also created this script of, I can't get things wrong, everything has to be perfect, everything has to be right, I just wonder how much that's actually hindering you from doing the job, where there is going to be a level of human error. There is going to be a level of not knowing or having to try or ask or however it is you get to the information that you need.
Yeah.
I hope that's been helpful.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I also just want to say, advocate for, or really think about your learning style and what you need to feel like you are learning every day and you're improving, not necessarily every single day, but you're making strides. Figure out how you can get the best out of yourself. What do you need to do? What do you need to put in place? Who do you need to get in your corner? Who at work do you need to see as like a mentor? Like, who do you trust? Like, what's your measuring, your outcome measure? Like, how will you know that you're doing a better job? Because you may not always feel it, but if you can see it, you have something tangible to measure yourself up against, that'll be good. Whether it's journaling and looking back and seeing how you feel day by day.
Or even goals. Like, I wonder if you just wrote down maybe 5 bullet points of, if I was good enough at my job, these are the things I'd be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So on the days that you feel like you're not, revisit those, and you'll probably end up like maybe ticking off 2 or 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And thinking, oh, actually, yeah, I am there. I am doing it.
Okay. Allow your feelings to catch up, you know. Give yourself some time. But yeah, thank you so much for sending that dilemma in. If you have any dilemmas that you would like to share with us, feel free to email them over to us at hello@thetherapyfloor.com, and we will be sure to have a look at it and bring it to the floor.
Yeah, we love receiving them. So thank you for sending this one in too. And we will see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.